And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here today, and we're going to be taking a look at a game that is a two-player version of a previously released game, the two-player version of Antike, which is a Max Gertz title which uses the rondel system that he's very popular for using. He uses it in a lot of his games, and this game is Antike Duellum. As I said, a two-player version of Antike, which already plays two players, but this one is specifically designed for two-player play and makes several modifications to the game's style in order to adopt that two-player variant. So real quick, we'll take a look at what you get inside of this box and how it's adjusted for two players, how it balances out, and how the game plays. And then we'll come back and we'll get my final opinion on Antike Duellum. So here you can see the setup for Antike Duellum. Now this is a two-player version of a game that was designed earlier by Max Gertz called Antike, which works off of a very similar system using a rondel in order to take actions out on a board in order to try and accomplish goals to win the game. Now, each player in this game is going to be represented by a set of pieces. One player will be lighter colored or darker colored pieces like these here, and one player will be lighter colored pieces, will be this kind of natural color here. And they're trying to accomplish goals out on this board. You'll see the light player has 3 cities currently, 1, 2, 3, and the dark player also has 3 cities on the board. The dark player has 1 legionnaire in their recruitment box and 1 galley in their recruitment box, and the same is true for the light player. Then each player has a token over here to take actions on the rondel and a victory point marker out on the board. Now, at the beginning of the game, each player is going to start with 3 of each resource, and the resources are going to be as follows. They will have marble, they will have iron, and gold. So you have marble, the white, iron here is the blue, and gold is the gold color. And you're going to be using these resources in the game to accomplish your objectives. The goal is to be the first player to 9 objectives, and the objectives are as follows. You can earn 1 objective for each 5 cities you build on the board. You can earn an objective to be the first person to get any one of the 5 know-hows in the game, which advance your ability to play the game. You can earn them by getting destroying someone else's temple. If they've built out a temple on the board, destroying a temple is worth 1 victory point, essentially. You can get 1 for every 3 temples that you build, and you can get a point for owning 7 different sea areas, or 7 points worth of sea areas on the board. So there are 5 different ways to earn objective points throughout the game, and you need 9 in order to win. Now, the way you're going to play the game is by using your marker out here, and on each of your turns you're going to put your marker onto one of these spaces. Now, at the beginning of the game you can choose any space, and you'll see that there are several different ones around the board. You have the Duellum spaces, the Ferrum spaces, the Templum spaces, the Aurum spaces, the Militia space, and the Marmor space, and then the Scientia space here. And all of these do different things, but there are duplicates of some of them on the board. 3 of the major ones, Ferrum, Aurum, and Marmor over here, are just going to get you resources based on what cities you have. So if you were to place onto one of these, let's say I placed on Ferrum, I would look and see how many cities I have of iron type. And this one right here, you'll see is blue. It's an iron city. I would earn 1 iron per city I have that has an iron type. In addition, if a city has a temple in it, that city earns 3 of that type of resource. So if I had a temple in this city here, it would earn me 3 iron, and I would get my 3 iron, taking it to my supply. So these 3 spaces are going to get you your 3 basic resources based on how many different cities you have of a type out there. After you've taken your initial placement, on your future turns, you're going to be able to move your piece 1 to 3 spaces for free, or you can pay resources to move them further. But I have a choice of moving 1 to 3 spaces on my turn and taking any of those actions, or paying to do something else. But let's say I wanted to, on my next turn, move to gold, and then I would take the gold for my cities. If I wanted to, and I had accumulated enough marble, I could go to the Templum space, and this is going to allow me to build a temple for 7 marble. I would have to turn in 7 marble, and then I would be able to put a temple out in any one of my cities on the board. If there's already temples next to that spot, I would have to pay a little bit extra, and it's going to cost me coins. Now, these coins are going to accumulate throughout the game, and they're basically a generic resource. They can be used as pretty much anything. They can also be used to help pay your way around the wheel. But you'll need these for some things, like playing out temples to areas when there's already temples next to them. So you'll get these on each turn, 1 per turn, and you'll be able to use them in the game for various different things. But know that there are 4 resources, really: marble, iron, gold, and then coins, which you'll accumulate 1 per turn. So you'll need to accumulate those in order to build more temples in a closed region, or if you simply want to expand out further, not building next to other temples, you can avoid using those coins for that by building your temples further apart. In addition, when you go to the Templum area, you can buy what are called town walls or city walls, and these increase the defense of your cities and cost 1 marble apiece, and they simply go underneath the city and make it harder to take over by your opponent. So those can be bought there as well. The Duellum space is going to allow you to move your guys around the board. Once you get guys out on the board, you'll be able to move them around, and normally guys move 1 space apiece. Now, you can buy upgrades to move your militia and your ships further, and those will be bought using these science from space, but moving guys around the board is how you're going to take over people's cities. People's cities normally have a defense of 1, but if they've built walls on them, they'll increase their defense more, and if they have temples there, that increases the base defense of an area to 3. So you'll note that you can build up your areas by putting temples in them or putting walls around them to prevent people from taking them over, because you want to have more cities in order to earn objectives. The militia space is how you're going to get your guys. You'll be paying for them from your recruitment box here, and each guy you want to place out costs you 2 iron. Now, so that's the reason you need to have iron. Now, in order to put your guys out there, you'll pay those iron by landing here and putting them to the supply and putting your guys out in cities. Normally, you can only add 1 guy to each city around, but if there's a temple out there, you can add up to 3 to each city, be them galleys or militia. And then you can move them around later using the Duellum space. Again, marble only gets you marble. Scientia here is going to be the way you're going to do 2 things, and it's going to be how you spend gold. You're going to spend your gold in order to get guys either into your recruitment boxes, and it's going to cost 1 per militia you want, or 2 per galley, which is written right on the board here, 1 per militia or 2 per galley. Or you can use your gold in order to buy these advancements out on the board. They're the know-hows of the game that make you a little bit better. It's kind of like having a tech tree. You can spend 5, if you're the first person there, in order to increase the movement of your militia, 6 to increase the movement of your galleys, 7 to increase the income of each of your city, or income of your total income by 1 for each resource. So if you would normally get 6 of a resource, you would get 7. You can do pay 8 to increase the defense of all of your cities by 1, or 9 to basically allow you to trade resources 3 for 2 throughout the game. If you're the first to do these, you'll actually get one of your victory points for the game, and you'll advance yourself up. It will earn you a town wall, and it will also earn your opponent one of these cards out here that is going to make it so that they get a special benefit at one point in the game. Some of these say, for example, pay 1 gold and take 1 event card from the display. So if you can get this one, you can grab a different card later. Or this one here says, for each know-how, for each owned scholar, collect 1 resource of your choice. So if you have these scholars out here, the scholars are the ones that you get for buying the know-hows. You can get resources by trading that card in at a later point in the game. So each time your opponent moves further in the game, you're going to get a card that will help balance things out a little bit. As I said, the objective is to earn 9 victory points, and it will balance itself by your opponent getting cards for each time you destroy one of their cities, which you have to match the defense of the city with your units, or they'll get cards for each time that you achieve one of the objectives in the game, getting you a victory point, but earning them a card to help balance the game out. The goal here, as I said, to get those 9 points, you'll have to be moving around the board, you'll have to be building more cities, putting temples out, trying to earn more resources, in order to spend those resources to build temples, to build more cities, which you can do on any turn. I almost failed to cover that. Building a city costs you 1 of each resource, and it's going to cost you, you'll have to have a guy in the location where you want to build a city. You'll see all of these spots have cities on them, and it's going to cost you 1 coin per like-type city next to it. So you'll see when you build a city, you get to choose what resource type it is. You can build gold cities. They're double-sided. You can build marble cities. Or you can build the iron cities, and you can place them out. If I were to move a guy here and pay the appropriate resources, I could decide this is a marble city, and it would just cost me the normal resources. If I had tried to build a marble city next to another iron city, next to another iron city here, I would have to pay a coin because there's already an iron city there. And as there is, I would have to pay extra. And if there had been 2 iron cities next to it, for example, if I were to build another one here now, it would cost me 2 extra coins in order to do that. So you don't want to group your like-type cities too close together. But aside the point, your objective here is to earn those 9 victory points before your opponent. So it's essentially a race to the end of the game, trying to maneuver ships around the board in order to take over sea spaces. Some of the sea spaces are worth double because there's no cities there. Trying to take over your opponent's temples that they build, which will not only deprive them of resources, but also give you an objective of destroying a temple, building your own temples, and basically just kind of taking over the world in any way you can by learning more or building more or taking more over. And that is essentially the game of Antike Duellum. Well, there you have it. That is Antike Duellum by Max Gertz. A wonderful adaptation of a already good 2 to 6 player game. One that manages to take that style, even though the original was able to be played with 2 players, but makes it accessible and streamlined for 2-player play. If you've played Antike, which now is out of print and kind of difficult to get, you'll note that there are several changes between the original game and this 2-player variant. One, it's actually the way you get coins, which are the resources you need in order to do some of the special benefits, like building more cities in proximity to cities of the same type. The way that has worked is now you only get 1 coin each time it's your turn, instead of each time everyone takes a turn you get 1 coin, or each time you go around the table you get a coin. Now coins come out actually a little bit more often, but you need them for more things, such as building temples adjacent to other temples, or building cities of like types near each other. You'll also note that the building of different know-hows, the building of your guys out on the board requires a little bit more planning. You now have to take actions in order to kind of set them up into a reserve area and get them out onto the board. The way cities are managed is a little bit different. And all in all, there's just some streamlining things that have been done in order to change the way that the game interacts, so that you don't have to have 6 players or 5 players or 4 players in order to make it interesting. Another thing I didn't show you is that there are 2 sides to the board now, so if you get tired with one of the boards, you can flip to the other side and play that variant. It's also a nice inclusion, especially in a 2-player game where you may play it with the same person over and over again. It's nice to have an opposite side to the board. So as you can tell, I really enjoy Antike Duellum. I think it's a great game. I find it fantastic that there's now a version of this game out for people, available and in print for them to get. And so if this sounds like something you're interested in and you like the rondel style, I would definitely suggest checking out Antike Duellum by Max Gertz.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.